Everyone thinks Huggy Wuggy is gone for good. But what if he's not? What if the scariest monster in Poppy Playtime becomes the unlikeliest hero in Chapter 5? It sounds crazy, right? Well, get ready, because this theory might change how you see Huggy Wuggy forever. Picture this. The final chapter of Poppy Playtime is coming, and all eyes are on the prototype, the mysterious experiment 1006 that's been pulling the strings behind every horrible event. The prototype is the big bad, the puppet master of the factory. How on earth can we, a lone player, defeat something so powerful? And where are our allies? By the end of Chapter 4, things look bleak. Poppy, our supposed guide, is missing or maybe worse. Our only friend left might be Kissy Missy, and she's hurt and one arm short after saving us. It feels like we're out of options. But here's the twist. Our last hope might be the very first toy that tried to kill us. Yes, I'm talking about Huggy Wuggy. He's alive, and I believe he will come back in Chapter 5, not to finish us off, but to help us defeat the prototype once and for all. Now, I know what you're thinking. Huggy Wuggy, the same giant blue toy that chased us and nearly hugged us to death in Chapter 1, is going to help us? Why would he ever do that? To answer that, we need to look at all the clues from the previous chapters. There's a surprising amount of evidence that Huggy is not just alive, but also that he might not be as evil as we thought. In fact, he could end up being on our side against a greater threat. Let's start at the beginning. Chapter 1. A tight squeeze. Remember when we first walked into the Playtime Co-lobby and saw Huggy Wuggy standing there as a statue? Everyone who played that chapter remembers the shock of seeing Huggy for the first time. He's this towering, fuzzy blue creature with an eerie smile. At first, he looks harmless, even friendly, like a big plush mascot. But we quickly learned he wasn't just a statue. When we turned the power back on, Huggy vanished from the lobby. It was terrifying to realize he was now stalking us through the dark halls. But before all the horror really kicked off, something weird happened in Chapter 1. When the lights went out and we needed to restore the power, we found a key, a bright yellow key, and guess where it was? Hanging from Huggy Wuggy's hand. Think about that. Huggy was standing there holding out the very key we needed to move forward. It's as if he wanted us to pick it up. Now, why would the monster who's about to hunt us down actually help us at first? It's a small detail, but it's super important. Many fans have scratched their heads over that key scene. Was it a trap, or was Huggy actually helping us? The game never clearly explains how that key got into Huggy's hand. We, as players, just grab it and use it to turn the power back on. Right after that, Huggy disappears and later attacks us. But that key moment is our first hint that Huggy Wuggy's behavior isn't as simple as mindless monster. There's a possibility that, at least initially, Huggy might have been trying to assist us, or at least not harm us right away. Maybe something, or someone, influenced him to give us that key. Could it have been a leftover bit of his original friendly programming? Or was it the prototype setting us up? We don't know yet, but keep that in mind. Huggy gave us a way forward instead of outright killing us when he had the chance. Now flash forward to the end of Chapter 1. We're on those catwalks in the Make-a-Friend room. Huggy Wuggy comes bursting out of the shadows, roaring and chasing us down like a nightmare come to life. It's heart-pounding. He's climbing through vents, scrambling behind us on all fours, trying to grab us with those long arms. We manage to dodge him and make him tumble over the railing. Remember how that ended? Huggy fell into the abyss of the factory, hitting a bunch of pipes on the way down. It looked like he died. There was even a splatter of blood on the pipes as he fell. Most of us thought, okay, that's the end of Huggy Wuggy. He's done. The game sure made it seem that way. We left Chapter 1 thinking the big blue beast was gone for good, but horror games love to trick us, and Poppy Playtime is no exception. Chapter 2. Fly in a Web. Quietly hints that Huggy survived. How? If you explore the water treatment area in Chapter 2, you can find bits of blue fur stuck on the walls down in the pit. That's right, blue fur that looks just like Huggy's. It's exactly where Huggy would have landed after that fall. And guess what? There's no body to be found. If Huggy truly died from the fall, maybe we'd see his remains or something definitive. But instead, we just see fur, as if he dragged himself away from the crash site. This tells us he survived the fall, even if he was badly hurt. In fact, Huggy is incredibly tough. Later, we'll see just how tough. So, from that clue alone, attentive fans realized Huggy's not dead. He's probably still alive somewhere down in the factory. So, Huggy Wuggy lives, but he's wounded. For a long time after Chapter 2 came out, it was just a theory that he survived. But then Chapter 3 and Chapter 4 gave us even more proof. Chapter 3 had a hallucination scene, thanks to a weird red gas, where we saw a nightmare version of Huggy that shows Huggy is still haunting the story, at least in our character's mind. But the real kicker is Chapter 4 Safe Haven. At the very end of Chapter 4, Huggy Wuggy shows up for real. It's a short but jaw-dropping moment. We're at a place called the lab's entrance. An alarm is blaring, lights are flashing, everything's chaotic. We see a tall figure coming down the hallway. At first, because of the lighting and the way it moves, we think it might be Kissy Missy, Huggy's pink counterpart. But as it gets closer, we see the truth. It's Huggy Wuggy, and he does not look happy. He's all bandaged up, with part of the left side of his head missing and his lower left arm completely gone. He looks like he's been through a meat grinder, which, in a way, he has. He must have patched himself up with whatever he could find in those depths. We later find out Huggy is smart enough to do that. He actually wrapped bandages around his injuries, almost like he did basic first aid on himself. It's both scary and a little sad to see him that way, all broken, yet still coming at us. And boy, does he come at you. In that scene, Huggy Wuggy charges the door where we're standing. He slams against the glass, roaring with pure rage. He's furious about what we did to him in Chapter 1. I mean, we did drop him down a massive shaft. I'd be mad too. In that moment, it's clear Huggy wants revenge. Big time. The player, us, is separated by a sturdy door, and luckily he can't break through immediately, but he is trying his hardest. That's where Chapter 4 ends. Talk about a cliffhanger. The takeaway is, Huggy Wuggy is alive. He's badly injured but still extremely dangerous, and he remembers us. He remembers that we hurt him, and he's angry. So heading into Chapter 5, it looks like Huggy will be an enemy again, at least at first. In fact, official hints for Chapter 5 even mention Playtime's security system, Huggy Wuggy in Hot Pursuit, implying that at the start of the chapter, Huggy is actively chasing us through the depths of the factory. He's basically doing his job as a security creature, trying to eliminate the intruder, us. So we can expect a scary chase with Huggy early on in Chapter 5. Now you might ask, if Huggy is so mad and chasing us, how on earth could he possibly become our ally? Good question. The situation between us and Huggy at the beginning of Chapter 5 is definitely not friendly. It might seem impossible that we'd ever team up, but this is where other characters and the bigger plot come into play, specifically Kissy Missy and the prototype. Let's talk about Kissy Missy for a second. Kissy Missy is basically Huggy Wuggy's counterpart. She's pink, she's the same kind of toy, just marketed as the female Huggy. The interesting thing is, Kissy Missy has shown a very different attitude than Huggy. We first properly see her in Chapter 2. There's a part where we are trapped behind some locked gates in the factory and need to get through. Kissy Missy appears, and guess what she does? She doesn't attack us at all. Instead, she actually walks up to a lever and pulls it, opening the gate for us. She literally helps us escape that area. Then she just walks away peacefully back into the darkness. That moment blew a lot of players' minds. After all the hostility we faced from Huggy and Mommy Longlegs, the villain of Chapter 2, seeing Kissy Missy behave kindly was a huge surprise. She even tilted her head at us in a curious, cute way, but chose to be gentle. It's like she understood we weren't a threat, or maybe she's just naturally friendly. Kissy Missy also appears in Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. In Chapter 3, she actually helps Poppy, the doll character, and assists us indirectly. In Chapter 4, she straight up saves us. There's a scene where the player nearly falls into a giant pit, and Kissy Missy grabs us just in time. In doing so, she injures herself. She ended up losing her right arm in that rescue. So by now it's clear. Kissy Missy is our ally. She's caring and doesn't want to hurt us. We can trust Kissy. Why is Kissy Missy important to Huggy's story? Because, as many clues suggest, Kissy Missy is the key to calming Huggy Wuggy down. There was even a secret document, an incident report, in the game's lore that implies this. It basically said that, a long time ago, the scientists at Playtime Co. put Huggy Experiment 1170 together with Kissy Missy in a room as a test, and Kissy was able to calm Huggy's aggressive behavior. In other words, Huggy might go on a rampage alone, but when Kissy is with him, he becomes much more gentle, or at least controllable. She was literally created to be his companion and to help control him. One official character bio even says, "One's not complete without the other." How sweet and kind of tragic, knowing what they've been through. So, imagine early in Chapter 5. Huggy is chasing us, furious, intent on revenge. It might seem hopeless, but then Kissy Missy appears between us. She might step in and stop Huggy from attacking, just like she herself didn't attack us. She could even communicate with him in whatever way these living toys do, maybe through strange toy sounds or just a calm stare. Kissy could basically be like, "Hey, this person is not our enemy. There's a bigger threat here. We've seen she has a caring, protective personality, so maybe she pleads for Huggy to help instead of harm." Now, Huggy is not an idiot. He's actually intelligent. The scientists considered him one of their best successes because he could follow orders and even think for himself. He was created to be the factory's security, and we know he can understand situations to some degree. We also know he's been influenced before by the prototype's commands to be violent. There was a big event in the backstory called the Hour of Joy, where the prototype apparently caused all the experiments, including Huggy and Kissy, to revolt and massacre the factory staff. That means Huggy's rage and violence might not entirely be his own choice. It could be partly because the prototype made him do it, or trained him to do it. If that influence is broken, Huggy might not naturally be a mindless killer. In fact, it suggested he only gets aggressive when he feels threatened or when he's ordered to attack by his controllers. By Chapter 5, a lot has changed. The prototype, that's the overarching villain, Experiment 1006, has been pulling strings and using these toy monsters like puppets. But by the end of Chapter 4, Poppy the living doll, who was helping us, confronted the prototype. She basically told it, "You have no one left to help you. Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, none of them will come to save you." What does that mean? It implies that the prototype is now on its own. Huggy and the others are no longer loyal to it. Mommy Longlegs is dead. The prototype itself killed her to steal her parts. And Huggy, maybe Huggy has his own agenda now after surviving that fall. Maybe he's even resentful towards the prototype for abandoning him or for controlling him in the first place. If Poppy's words are true, then Huggy Wuggy is no longer fighting for the prototype. He might just be acting on instinct and personal anger. But once Kissy Missy snaps him out of his rage, Huggy could realize who the real enemy is: the prototype itself. The prototype is the reason all of this is happening. It's the reason Huggy was turned into what he is and forced to guard this cursed factory. It might even be indirectly responsible for him getting hurt, since it likely commanded him to attack us, which led to his fall. You could say the prototype betrayed Huggy. It treated him and the others like they didn't matter, just tools to use and throw away. So now we have a common enemy, the prototype. It's not just the player's enemy. It's a threat to Huggy, to Kissy, and to everyone. The prototype's goal seems to be to absorb pieces of other toys, and maybe do something even more twisted. We saw that creepy claw hand snatch Mommy Longlegs' remains, remember? The prototype literally took her broken body after we defeated her, like it was collecting spare parts. That is one nasty villain. The prototype is smart, cruel, and probably has some master plan we don't fully understand yet, likely involving becoming more powerful or escaping the factory or who knows what. When Chapter 5 starts, it's likely we'll finally confront the prototype directly. Perhaps we'll see its full form, some kind of terrifying mix of metal and toy parts, basically a nightmare machine. It's probably bigger and more powerful than anything we've faced before. If we, as the player, go up against it alone, our chances of victory are near zero. We're just a regular person with a grab pack, that backpack with the extendable hands. Useful for puzzles, sure, but against a giant murder robot? Not so much. This is where Huggy Wuggy comes in. Huggy is huge, like 18 feet tall, huge, incredibly strong, and now he's fueled by a desire for revenge and perhaps a newfound understanding that the prototype is his true enemy. Teaming up with Huggy might be the only way to destroy the prototype. Basically, we might need to fight fire with fire, or in this case, fight monster with monster. Think about it like a classic movie moment. The final battle where the hero is cornered by the ultimate evil, and then an unexpected ally arrives to help. It gives you goosebumps. In our case, imagine the prototype has caught you in its claws. It seems like game over. Suddenly, a massive blue figure crashes into the scene. It's Huggy Wuggy. Maybe Kissy Missy is right behind him, or maybe she guided him here. Huggy slams into the prototype, knocking it away from us. Picture Huggy grabbing the prototype with his one remaining arm, using every ounce of strength to keep the prototype's deadly claw away from us. Huggy is probably roaring in fury, but this time, that fury is directed at the right target. The prototype might be screaming or making horrific mechanical noises and fighting back fiercely. This is a huge fight, the giant blue toy versus the monstrous machine. And we, the tiny player, can only watch or maybe assist in small ways, like perhaps solving a quick puzzle to weaken the prototype or using the grab pack to yank some power cables. But the core of the fight is between Huggy and the prototype. It's chaos. In the climax of this fight, I predict Huggy Wuggy will make the ultimate sacrifice. Perhaps the only way to truly destroy the prototype is to blow up part of the factory or cause a collapse. Maybe there's a huge grinder or furnace. Seems like every creepy factory has one, and Huggy will physically drag the prototype into it. I can easily see a scenario where Huggy uses that infamous hug of his to restrain the prototype, giving it a taste of its own medicine. He'll lock the prototype in a death grip, maybe pinning its arms so it can't escape. He's not letting go. Just like his theme song ironically says, he'll hug you until you pop. Except this time, that endless hug is used to save us. As Huggy holds the prototype, this might give us a chance to hit a kill switch or run to safety. If the factory has a self-destruct, just speculation, but many finales involve explosions. Huggy could make sure the prototype is right there when everything blows. Of course, that means Huggy himself would be caught in the destruction. It would be a tragic but heroic end for him. Imagine the last we see of Huggy Wuggy. He's grappling with the prototype on the edge of a fiery pit or in the center of some massive industrial machine. He turns to look at us one last time. Maybe there's even a hint of the old Huggy, the friendly toy, in his eyes as if to say, "Go, you're safe now." Then boom, the place erupts, or the machinery grinds to a halt with a terrible crunch. They both go down together. The prototype is destroyed, and Huggy vanishes along with it. The fight is over. The big villain is gone. We, the player, survive and finally escape the factory with our lives, hopefully. But it's a bittersweet victory because it cost the life of someone we never expected would actually save us. Huggy Wuggy, the same creature that terrified us at the start, ended up saving us at the end. This kind of full-circle story is actually really poetic in a way. Huggy Wuggy started as a symbol of the company's false love, a toy that hugs you but really wants to kill you. Throughout the game, he's been seen as just a frightening monster. Giving him a chance to do something truly good, to redeem himself, adds a ton of depth to the story. It turns him from a simple villain into a tragic hero. Let's not forget, this theory isn't just pulled out of thin air. The developers have been dropping hints. The Chapter 5 teaser image, for example, shows what looks like Poppy's doll head separated from her body, which suggests someone might not survive the finale. They might be hinting that a major character will die in the final chapter. Huggy fits perfectly for this, because his sacrifice would pack an emotional punch without leaving the player character dead or making us too confused. Since the game is named after Poppy, they might not want to kill her off permanently, but we'll see. And from the story perspective, they've set up Huggy's potential to turn good, Kissy Missy's influence, the fact that the prototype lost his loyalty, the mysterious moment with the key in Chapter 1, and so on. Another hint. In the fan community, one theory from fans says Huggy Wuggy will help the player and redeem himself in this chapter. It even suggests Kissy Missy could be the one to convince him, and it also speculates that Huggy might die doing it. So a lot of people are thinking along these lines. We're not the only ones. It feels like a likely direction for the story. From a storytelling standpoint, Huggy sacrificing himself to destroy the prototype would give closure to his story. We wouldn't have to fight Huggy as a boss and kill him ourselves. We kind of already did that in Chapter 1, temporarily. Instead, he goes out in a heroic blaze, taking the greater evil with him. It's a satisfying and emotional conclusion. It also turns him from a scary footnote in the story to one of its heroes, which is a pretty powerful twist. By the end of this, the factory's horrors would be mostly over. We could escape thanks to Huggy's help. Perhaps Kissy Missy survives and comes with us, or maybe she stays behind, mourning Huggy. Hard to say, depending on how bittersweet the developers want the ending. I personally hope Kissy would survive since she's been nothing but kind. But if the game really wants to hit us in the feels, they might have her also get taken out, or she might disappear. Still, my main focus is on Huggy's fate. I strongly believe he's going to be the hero at the end, even if it costs him everything. So, to sum it all up, Huggy Wuggy is alive and will return in Chapter 5. He'll start off as a threat, no doubt. He's angry, and he'll be coming after us. But through the intervention of Kissy Missy and the realization that the prototype is the true villain, Huggy will switch sides. All the pieces of lore point to Huggy being redeemable. He wasn't evil to the core, he was manipulated and acting out of pain and duty. When given the chance, especially if Kissy Missy is there to calm him, I believe Huggy will choose to protect us rather than attack us. In the end, Huggy Wuggy might be the one who destroys the prototype. It's likely to be an epic and fierce confrontation. And tragically, I think Huggy will also meet his end during that battle, sacrificing himself to ensure the prototype is gone for good. It will be the climax of the series, the key moment everyone will remember. The terrifying monster who once hunted us through the dark halls becomes the savior who ensures we can finally escape this nightmare. This theory not only makes sense of all the clues, but it also would make for an unforgettable ending to the Poppy Playtime story. After everything we've been through, being hunted, betrayed, terrified, having Huggy Wuggy come full circle and be the reason we survive would be mind-blowing. It's the kind of twist that would make players reevaluate everything and probably shed a tear or two for a character we never thought we'd feel sorry for. It turns a simple horror chase story into something really heartfelt. Will this theory be exactly right? We'll have to wait and see when Chapter 5 finally releases, but one thing's for sure, I'll be looking at Huggy Wuggy a little differently now. He might still give me nightmares, but maybe, just maybe, he'll also become an unlikely friend at the end. And honestly, that makes me both excited and nervous to play the final chapter. So, are you ready for Huggy's grand return and possible redemption? Keep your eyes peeled for more clues as the release gets closer, because the story of Poppy Playtime isn't over yet, and the biggest surprise might be yet to come. Subscribe for more Poppy Playtime theories.